Well, I have been excited about this live for weeks, I'm telling you. The man himself, Jordin Tootoo, who the documentary Tootoo is all about, is going to be joining me any minute now to talk about that documentary Tootoo. You've probably been hearing a lot about it, and for very good reason. It is spectacular. The bravery that Jordin shows in how much he reveals of himself and his life and his family and his tragedy and then his triumph is truly remarkable. I am going to invite Jordin to join me right now. Hi. It's always good.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. It's been really nice to listen to you today. I've been listening to you do other interviews. You've been sounding great.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to start at the idea of somebody comes to you and says, I'm sure it was Adam Scorgi, and says, you know, your story's pretty remarkable. Let's do a documentary about it. Was it something that you were immediately up for, Jordin, or was it something that you had to do some research and some thinking about?
Well, I had a number of production companies approach me while I was still playing, and I just felt like it wasn't the right time. And when I retired, this crew came along and made a pitch, and I felt that it was the right time, and the words that they use I can really connect with, and so we met up, and the rest is just history.
Can you dig a little bit deeper for me there in terms of, because it's such a vulnerable position to put yourself in. So what were those words that you connected to from this production company? And why did you think that this was the right time?
Yeah, so I hadn't never met Michael Hamilton, who's the director, and some of the words that he used, I felt like I was reliving a lot of my moments. You know, the one example is every time I'd fly home and on descent, and I could see my community, and my brain would just start rolling. And when I read that paragraph, I was like, you know what? I think these guys, they get it, because I just felt like I was reading my own story, and so when we met, I had one condition with the whole crew. I said, this ain't gonna work unless we get up to Nunavut, to my hometown, and live and experience, and it's not gonna happen in 1, 2, or 3 trips. You know, it's got to be multiple trips up there to really grasp the lifestyle and to see a lot of the examples I was talking about, even writing my books with Stephen Brunt. I said, we're not going to be able to capture my story unless you see it with your own eyes and indulge and live it. And so, obviously it all worked out, and it was a learning curve, not only for myself and a healing journey. I think the film crew really absorbed a lot of the culture and traditional ways of our people, and really embraced it.
It is really what shaped you. For everybody joining me, my name is Terry Hart. Of course, this is Jordin Tootoo, and we are talking about the documentary Tootoo, about Jordin and his remarkable life, and not just on the hockey rink, not just on the pond in Nunavut, but really the choices that you made as a man about the life that you are committed to living. And so incredibly inspirational, those choices. You talk about that condition of going to Nunavut and living there and making sure that the area that shaped you was captured in this. How did you talk to your family and your friends from Nunavut about what was going to happen, about the interviews, about the personal lecture? Because you're kind of asking them to divulge their lives as well.
Yeah, the one thing I think I made very clear was, the first couple trips up there, our people got to get used to you. They gotta be able to feel comfortable because, in a lot of our communities, especially Indigenous people, we tend to be shy and silent when we see newcomers coming in, and that's one thing I made clear to our film crew and our director Michael, that when it's time for interviewing with my mom and dad, it's not going to probably happen in the second or third trip. They got to get used to you guys being around and get comfortable, because we all know, like, growing up in a remote community, there's a lot of silence, and especially for men. A lot of my childhood buddies who got interviewed, I never ever seen that side of their vulnerability and the emotional aspect of, like, my best friend Troy. I've never seen him, shed tears in my life. And when I went back and watched his interview, it broke my heart, because every kid that I grew up with, we were in the same boat, but we just didn't know how to talk about it, because we grew up in homes where you don't talk about certain things, or you don't ask questions. You just put up with it and deal with it.
When did you realize, Jordin, that not everywhere was like that? When was it when you came south and were playing for OHL and stuff like when did you realize that the world was different than what you had experienced as a child in Nunavut?
I'd probably say, probably my second or third year of playing in Brandon in the Western Hockey League. I started, acclimatizing to my environment, because there was a culture shock for me leaving home at 14 years old. High rises and, cars and people everywhere. And, there wasn't one person that I knew on the streets, whereas at home, I knew everybody. And the access of, jumping on a quad or a skidoo and going out on the land, I didn't have that luxury down here. But it was my brother who inspired me and kept pushing me to stick it out. Because there are a lot of times where I wanted to go home, and I just felt like an outsider. I was the odd man out. I was the only Native kid in the school, and battled through a lot of racism, and I literally had to fight my way through to prove, and that carried on into my hockey career.
Yeah, I mean, you were the enforcer on the Nashville Predators. You played for them for over a decade, I believe. And, that job, that aspect of that job is spoken about in the movie, about what the toll that takes. Again, I'm so curious, when you go through this kind of introspection of these interviews, of somebody asking you, and then hearing, you talk about, your best friend, and hearing him and him breaking your heart, and you hear your former teammates talking about you. We don't ever, it must be such an out of body experience, because we don't have that in our lives, to hear somebody else. So take me inside that moment when you sit down. Did you watch it by yourself the first time? Did you watch it with your wife and the girls? How did you want to experience what other people were saying about Jordin Tootoo the first time you watched the movie?
Well, I think for me, like that, speaking of playing the enforcer role, they're every day, your anxiety levels are heightened, and like your average fan doesn't realize we are human too. Although we're playing professional sports, and people look at us like we have it made, and how could this person struggle and all that, and we're human. We have feelings, and unfortunately, back when I started, as a man being raised in a home where men don't show weakness, men don't back down, it was hard for me to admit I had a problem and ask for help, because I was, I grew up being a people pleaser and kind of a fan favorite because of the style that I played. And nobody knew why I was so rough and mean out there. You know, it was all that anger built up inside, and I released it on the ice. And you know, after watching my documentary, I watched it alone. It was I shedded a lot of tears because I didn't see a lot of my family be that vulnerable. And you know, now looking back, I commend, you know, all my friends and you know, especially my mom and dad, to find the courage to break that silence and to you know, find peace within, you know, all the hard times we went through. You know, I choose to use all those hard times and take the teachings and the positives and cater into my life today. So it doesn't happen overnight. You know, obviously 14 years in sobriety, I'm still working at it daily, and I choose to evolve as an individual rather than be stuck, because a lot of us men are stuck and we're treading water because of our pride and egos are heightened. And I think that's really, for me, being vulnerable and just being so proud of how much closer we are as a family.
I love to hear that. I want to come back to that issue of men and emotions and society and what we've done traditionally. But before I go there, something struck me. And by the way, I shed a whole bunch of tears watching your movie too. So it's a good thing I didn't have any makeup on. For everybody joining us, we are talking about Tootoo, Jordin, the movie about Jordin's remarkable life. It is available on Super Channel for you right now, and we're so very, very proud to have this film. But one of the things that struck me in kind of an ironic way, Jordin, watching the movie, is that same strength of character that allowed you to, and what Terrence saw in you, to follow your dreams, to follow your talent, because maybe it wasn't even your dream, but to follow your talent and play in the NHL for as long as you did. That strength of character is the same thing that got you sober, that allowed you to have the bravery to ask for help. Do you think that's true? Do you think that is one and the same person?
Yeah, you know, like growing up in an isolated community, you inadvertently learn how to be mentally strong to survive, right? Every day it's hard, you know, the conditions you're in, and making do with what's put in front of you. And for me, it's the land that has allowed me to find peace and serenity and to really reflect on my life. You know, so as an Indigenous person, I've always connected spiritually in that way. You know, that's our religion. That's where we are most connected with our ancestors. It's a place of hope, a place of healing. And so I've always you know, throughout my hockey career, I've been all over the world, living the fast-paced life. You know, every year, I always couldn't wait till the end of the season to get back home and to just get out on the land and like get away from screens and just be in nature and listen to, you know, nature in front of you. And, you know, out there, you know, it's about survival of the fittest, pretty much. You know, you in order for you to survive, you got to keep moving forward. You know, if you stay still up in the Arctic, what's going to happen? You're going to freeze to death, right? So, you know, we've always had this mentality of moving forward, and you know, today I try and integrate that in my life and show people that, you know, that's a sacred place for us Indigenous people to help us heal. But also, you know, life's all about choices, and I choose to not be stuck. But you have to put in the work in order to get
Unstuck.
unstuck and to see life from a different perspective. And for me, I knew I had to accept the help that was offered. And here we are 14 years later. And, I have a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful, healthy daughters. And, if that gift wasn't offered to me 14 years ago, I honestly probably wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, you saved your own life, sir. Just finally, you strike me as a person who would have not only taken on this project for yourself and for your family and for that personal healing, but for also something greater. And
Yes.
yeah, can you talk a little bit about that, because you've kind of nestled up against it, but I want to give you the opportunity, and I want to hear it from you what this greater is in terms of allowing this level of vulnerability and asking that of the people you love, how that can impact the world.
Yeah, this documentary is not just about me. It's about my family healing and working through a lot of hardships and overcoming adversity. And it takes a community to move forward. And for many years, I thought I could do it on my own. And unfortunately, it got me deeper into my addiction with alcohol. And finally, when I surrendered and accepted the help, it gave me new life. But life doesn't become easy, when you want to make changes. It's harder than you think. But as an Inuk and the way that I grew up, I tell people, it's mind over matter. How bad do you want to hear? And for me, I knew that if I didn't change my life, that I'd be the next victim. And the words that my brother left me, I live by those words every day. Jor, go all the way. Take care of the family. You are the man. And that inspires me daily. My brother sacrificed a lot for me to be where I am today. And this is not about me. It's about, my family finding the courage and hopefully we can inspire other families or other individuals, not only in the Indigenous communities, but in all walks of life. This is just not a hockey story. It's an all walks of life inspiration and hope journey that, hopefully I can trigger, mainly men's mindsets of, choosing to make changes. But I tell people, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm lived experience. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I don't have the answers. But here's what I've experienced and what I've learned from those hard times, and it's made me who I am today.
And we're so, so grateful to you for sharing those. I do think that this is a movie that is going to make people look at their own lives incredibly differently because of your bravery, because of your resilience, because of your beautiful family. There's a great love story in there as well. Jordin Tootoo, thank you so much. We're so, so thrilled to have your story, your documentary on Super Channel. It's available for everybody to watch right now, Super Channel On Demand. Thank you. It's really nice to talk to you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.